Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to picture the scene for a second. It's the absolute dead of night. The entire city is asleep, and you are just utterly exhausted. You just want to get home, crawl into bed, and sleep so deeply that even your alarm clock gives up the next morning. We've all been there, right? But today, we're going to unpack a deeply unsettling narrative. It's a spine-chilling urban legend that forces us to really question those mundane, everyday routines we completely take for granted. What starts as a perfectly normal commute slowly, agonizingly, morphs into a suffocating nightmare.
So what actually happens when the cab driver taking you home never made it home himself? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? As we break down this story, I really want you to keep this question in the back of your mind. We're going to explore a ghost story set right in the modern age of ride-hailing apps, GPS, and digital footprints. So buckle up, because this ride goes off the map very quickly. Section 1, the late-night cab. Our story centers around our protagonist, Nisha. She's a 26-year-old content moderator working some seriously brutal hours. It's 2:50 a.m. and she steps out of her office gate just completely drained. She books a cab and sighs with pure relief when she sees it's her usual driver, Mahesh Patil, approaching for the third night in a row. Now, naturally, Nisha expects the standard, well-lit JVLR route. That's the normal, safe path. But reality sets in fast when Mahesh completely bypasses that. Instead, he steers the car into this desolate, dimly lit industrial sector. When Nisha nervously points out that her app is showing a completely different route, Mahesh just looks at her through the rearview mirror with these incredibly tired eyes. He calmly states that, app routes aren't always right at night, and he prefers roads with fewer obstructions. They're now driving past abandoned factories and broken walls where the flickering yellow streetlights make every single shadow look twice as long. The isolation is really starting to set in.
Moving into Section 2, glitches in the ride. Because this is where the atmosphere in the car gets incredibly heavy and the reality around Nisha actually begins to fracture. It happens fast. First, the car radio suddenly spits out static and starts playing this old All India radio broadcast from July 2nd, 2012. Mahesh quickly snaps it off, muttering that songs are distracting at night. Then, the spatial geography itself starts looping. Nisha sees a billboard for Sidar Bar Family Restaurant 24/7. A few turns later, the exact same billboard appears again, but this time, the 24/7 part looks scorched and burnt. Panic is bubbling now. She looks at her phone. The GPS arrow is completely frozen in place. And then comes the terrifying climax of this sequence. Her friend Sana calls from the office. Sana is furious, demanding to know why Nisha is making her wait. The security guard just told Sana that Nisha never even left the gate, and the cab app is showing the ride was canceled. But before Nisha can even process this absolute impossibility, her phone screen goes black, the battery icon blinks frantically, and the phone just dies. She is now completely cut off from the real world.
Right as her phone dies, Mahesh drives them into the deep, dark, tree-lined roads of Ari Colony. They pass this small roadside Hanuman temple with a flickering oil lamp. Nisha is terrified at this point, and she begs to be let out at an approaching police checkpoint. But Mahesh doesn't stop. Instead, he delivers this spine-chilling line. Some paths close for some people, and some get off mid-journey. And as they drive right past the police checkpoint, the lights, the barricades, and the shadows of the police officers literally fade into thin air. They just vanish. The checkpoint was a ghost. Section 3, stuck at 3:33 a.m. We are now entering the absolute climax of this ride. The car ascends onto an entirely empty flyover. You can see the city lights far below, but up here, there is absolutely nothing. No other cars, no sound. And this is exactly where the laws of physics and time completely break down. Nisha is staring at the digital clock on the dashboard. It reads 3:33 a.m. But if you look closely at what's happening in the narrative here, the colon between the numbers is blinking, but the seconds, the minutes, they refuse to move forward. Time has literally frozen at 3:33 a.m. Trembling, Nisha asks Mahesh who he is. And with this profound, heavy sadness, he reveals the horrific truth. Exactly 1 year ago, on July 2nd, 2012, he was driving a passenger on this exact highway. He was exhausted, took one too many trips for some extra cash, and near that Hanuman temple we mentioned earlier, his car was hit from behind. It flipped, the passenger fled the scene, and Mahesh bled out on the side of the road. He died. Now, his digital ghost occasionally glitches into the app system, accepting rides and trapping unsuspecting passengers in his perpetual, endless final commute. He isn't actually trying to hurt her, he's just stuck, unable to ever reach home. Section 4. The Temple of Deliverance. Because, well, the horror doesn't just stop with Mahesh. Nisha's heart is absolutely pounding. She looks in the rearview mirror and sees a thin, bloody line forming across her own neck beneath the seatbelt. She touches it, and her skin is ice cold. She realizes with this paralyzing clarity, if he is stuck in a loop from his fatal accident, maybe she is too. Maybe she didn't survive this ride either. She has to break this cycle. Nisha takes desperate action. She commands Mahesh, turn back to the Hanuman temple, the exact site of the crash. Mahesh grips the steering wheel, his eyes filled with the fear of reliving his trauma, but he turns the car around. They arrive at the small, quiet temple. Nisha throws the car door open, feeling the cold night air, and sprints to the temple bell. Praying for her life and for Mahesh's tormented soul to finally find some peace, she rings that heavy temple bell with all her might. Which brings us to Section 5, waking up to reality, because the deafening ring of that bell suddenly transitions into a massive physical jolt, completely shattering the nightmare. 1 second, Nisha is ringing a bell on a haunted highway at 3:33 a.m., right? The next second, her eyes snap open. She's lying on a wooden bench right at her office gate. The security guard is leaning over her. She frantically checks her phone. The battery is at 57%. She has full network. And most importantly, the time is 2:59 a.m. Her friend Sana walks up complaining that the app flashed driver not found, and the cab booking was actually canceled before it even started. Nisha was literally just sleeping on the bench the whole time. It was all just a stress-induced, hyper-realistic nightmare. A massive relief, right? Section 6, the final terrifying proof. Now, hold on to that feeling of relief, because we are about to look at a final sequence that utterly destroys that comforting illusion. Still shaking, Nisha opens her cab app just to be 100% sure. The app suggests a driver for her usual route, Mahesh Patil. His status? Online now. Terrified, she tells Sana she absolutely refuses to take a cab tonight, and they walk back toward the office lobby to figure out another way home. As they wait for the elevator, still trying to convince herself it was all a bad dream, Nisha casually opens her phone's photo gallery. And there, sitting at the very top of her camera roll, is a brand new, impossible photo. The timestamp reads 3:33 a.m., a time that literally hasn't even happened yet in her current reality. The photo is taken from the perspective of the back seat of a car. The front driver and passenger seats are completely empty. But, looking dead center into the camera through the rearview mirror is Mahesh. And he has this tired, knowing smile on his face. She locks her phone, completely silent, stepping into the elevator. The ride was real. The ghost was real. And he left a souvenir. And that brings us to the end of today's explainer. It really plays on our modern vulnerabilities, doesn't it? Our total reliance on technology, late-night isolation, and placing our lives in the hands of absolute strangers. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Next time you accept the last cab of the night, when you're dead tired and just want to close your eyes, are you absolutely sure the ride is just taking you home? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and seriously, stay safe out there.